Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the Sunday MLB picks. We have a 10-game slate today, so let's get started. As always, appreciate if you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Looking at the totals today, we have a couple of teams in some nice spots, a couple of good pitching options today for us to consider. Starts with Zach Wheeler, who is the most expensive pitcher on the board at $10,700, deserving of that price. He's actually 10-4 on DraftKings, 10-7 on FanDuel. He's been pitching great all season. In the case, probably top 5 in NL Cy Young. Looking at his stats so far this year, 170 Ks, 147 innings, doesn't give up a ton of power. He goes very deep into games. You're seeing a lot of 7 inning games out of him, 3 straight without going at least 7. Goes over 100 pitches, 4 straight games going over 100. You see him through 114 one start. So this goes very deep into games. He's super solid and reliable. And the Phillies are on an absolute roll right now. They've taken over the division lead, winning, I believe, 7 straight games now. So the Phillies are on a roll right now, and I think that will continue today with Zach Wheeler going up against Taijuan Walker. We have Lance McCullers as another viable option. He's $10,000 exactly. He is facing off against his Twins offense, which is just a lot different than it was earlier this year. Missing Buxton, missing Cruz, who's now on the Rays. And overall, they just don't have as much power. They're not as much of a scary offense. McCullers been pitching solid, especially as of late. He makes sense if you wanted to save a little bit of money and go down to him instead of Zach Wheeler. And then for some of the value pitchers, besides like Ryu at $9,400 or Tyler Mahle, I'd rather just go up to McCullers or Wheeler, I would say, instead of going to Mahle at that price tag. We have guys like all the way down here, potentially looking at my Kenta Maeda. Tough matchup, but if you wanted to play him, I actually like some of these Astros bats, but I think he'll be somewhat, like maybe 10-15% owned today. Max Fried, $8,800, makes a lot of sense. He's been pitching awesome recently. His last couple of starts been great, except for the one against the Phillies, but goes deep into games, gets you a good amount of strikeouts, and he's facing off against this garbage Nationals lineup. So minus Soto, minus maybe I guess you can throw in like Zimmerman or somebody like that. Overall, that lineup is just not very good, and I definitely love the upside that Max Fried presents. Other guys besides Fried at $8,800, if you wanted to go to a punt play, I guess you could take a shot on some of these guys down here. I don't have a ton of confidence in any of them. Maybe Gill, except for from the Yankees going up against Seattle at home at this cheap of a price tag is nice. He has only one start under his belt. He wasn't great in AAA if you look at the numbers, but pitched really good against the Orioles. Not very hard to do, but still in his first major league start. I guess people will play him today against the Mariners if you wanted to. There's enough value, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. I think I can go Wheeler, and I can go Max Fried, and still leaves with almost 4,000 left for the bat. So that's kind of what I like to do. Some of these guys that I really want to get to at first base, you have Mike Moustakas, priced all the way up on DraftKings. He's super cheap on FanDuel, so I would look to him there. But he's back, and that lineup looks even scarier now. Votto continues to crush home runs every single night, it seems. He's up to 8 in his last 10 games. So Votto's on an absolute tear right now. He's up to 23 on the season. We have Paul Goldschmidt going up against a lefty. He is interesting at that price tag. Wanted some value, you can go with Ji-Man Choi at 43. The Rays have a 6+ total against Jorge Lopez. Wanted to go cheap here, maybe like John or Carlos Santana at $3,400. But I kind of like sticking some of these top end guys here. Second base, go to a guy that's been red hot over the past month or two, and that has been Jonathan India. I've been playing him quite a bit recently. It's been working out great. He's on an absolute tear. 791 slugging in his last 10, go with 5 bombs. This team has dismantled the Pirates pitching, putting up 7, 10, 11 runs the last 3 starts, and they get another great matchup today. So hopefully they continue to pile up the runs. That offense stays hot. I mean, they're getting better. Getting Moustakas back a couple days ago. They got Nick Castellanos back a couple days ago. So there's not really any let up in that lineup. One of the better ones in the National League. So I feel great about going Jonathan India, a guy that's been red hot recently. Over at third base, you have potential guys to consider like Chris Bryant. I would say he's in the mix. Mike Moustakas, if you wanted to pay up at 57. Austin Riley, another guy that's been awesome recently for the Braves and keeping them in the division hunt. He has bombed 4 bombs in his last 10, go with a 325 average, especially with Freeman leaving the game last night with an infection, maybe COVID related. If he's out for a bit, they'll just have to rely on Riley even more for power and offense. Some of the value pieces here, like Suarez, gives you home run upside. Definitely interesting. You can go down to Josh Donaldson as just a tournament option, even though it's a tough matchup. And then that's mainly it, except for I like Aledmys Diaz. The Astros banged up today. You should get a lot of cheap hitters in this Astros lineup today. Looking at their hitters here, Gurriel just landing on the IL, so he's out, and they're still without Bregman. So Diaz should be should be locked in there in the lineup, whether that be at DH or first base in place of Gurriel. He should be there, even third base in place of Bregman. So he should be in the lineup. He's been great. Limited time this year because he's been banged up a bit, but 6 bombs in 44 games. He gets on base, doesn't strike out a ton, doesn't walk a lot either, but just gives you power and just super affordable at $2,900. Moving on to shortstop, we have Bo Bichette. Looks great if you wanted to get all the way up to him. I like Wander Franco as my second favorite guy to consider. And then I'm kind of looking at like Carlos Correa, Kyle Farmer as cheap plays that give you upside. Kyle Farmer has been pretty solid recently over the past couple of weeks for the Reds. He's batting .395, gives you a little bit of power. He's had like 3 or 4 3-hit games in his last 10, so he's really dialed in right now. In the outfield, Bryce Harper's been awesome for the Phillies if you wanted to play him. He's batting .344 in his last 10. Harper is always a streaky hitter. He always goes on this tear where 2-3 weeks during the season where he just can't be stopped, and right now he's in the midst of it. Phillies on a roll. Harper looks like a great guy if you wanted to pay all the way up for him. If not, you can go down here. Some of these cheaper guys that I like starts with Castellanos, just because we never have gotten him at this cheap of a price tag. Everybody else on the Reds, for the most part, is priced up, except for Castellanos, and India is a decent price. But he's back after missing almost a month. Has already hit a home run, a couple of hits, and he's just too cheap. He was over 5K for much of the season. Even though he's not facing off against a lefty, I still like to get to him. He just gives you a bunch of power and a bunch of upside to get on base, get some RBIs. And then another guy who has really benefited from a change of scenery is Jorge Soler. He has been locked in since the Braves acquired him. And he gets to face off against a lefty in Patrick Corbin, who gives up a ton of power. So it's a great spot for Soler, who's good against lefties and has been really good recently since the Braves acquired him. 286, 3 bombs in his last 10 after he was barely hitting over 190 as a member of the Royals. So still gives you a bunch of home run upside. He's up to 16 on the season. And the price tag is just super cheap, $3,400. So that is what I like on DraftKings. Let's jump over to FanDuel. On FanDuel today, you can go with Zach Wheeler as your pitcher, but I really like getting to Max Fried. You save $2,700. That could be the difference between getting guys like Vlad in your catcher first base spot, getting guys like Alvarez in your outfield spot, and then instead of going with some of these cheaper guys in the 2K range. So give me Max Fried, a guy that does give you 40-point, even 50-point upside when he's really dialed in. And the matchup is just really good so far today. Jonathan India, another guy I like to get to at second base. Is really locked in. I want to stack up the Reds a bit. And India Moustakas is almost a lock for me on FanDuel at this sort of price tag, $2,500. Should be way higher than that. He's at least $1,000 underpriced here in this matchup. And then I want to get to Soler and Alvarez. Alvarez just gives you a bunch of upside. I think the Astros, with the wind blowing out here at home, should be able to put up a couple of runs at least. And Alvarez, especially if they are really banged up here, hopefully he bats like third or fourth in lineup, gets a bunch of RBI opportunities today. And then Soler, just because I think he is locked in, and he's one of the guys that is super streaky. Last year he was hitting home runs. When he started hitting bombs, it was like he couldn't stop. This year he struggled a bit, but now he's red hot, or at least he's a lot hotter than he was when he was with the Royals. And the matchup is great against Corbin, who gives up a ton of power, especially to righties. So give me Soler. I wouldn't be shocked if he hits another one home run today. And we know he gives you that double dong upside, which is crucial to winning tournaments on both sides. So that is about it for the video. Thank you for watching. Best of luck today, and I'll catch you all next time.